Hey, friends and family. Hey, loved ones. Hey, fools. Hey, so I'm just showing up in my unwashed state today because, man, I'm tired and I just didn't feel like taking the time and the effort, yeah, to do much of anything, like, with myself today. And so, yeah, that's what I'm allowing today. I'm allowing myself to show up as I am. And yeah, I usually do. I show up just as I am, but yeah, sometimes I put a little bit of um, effort into it. But yeah, today I did get some good sleep, but I've just been, yeah, a little bit draggy. So just been taking it easy, and I did take a little bit of a nap today and just looking at some things. And I have had a lot of interesting things and streams and themes come in the last few days, and I just wanted to kind of share and review a few with you if you're open to receive. And so there was a couple things that I've been looking into and planning on, yeah, kind of digging into a little bit more. And so some of those things I had just gotten nudges to kind of look into certain symbols and certain archetypes and certain little symbols that have been coming up for me, like the ivy in my front yard and those kinds of things. And yeah, I have been looking at the handless maiden tale in Women Who Run with the Wolves. And that was super awesome, like, to actually look into again. And I wanted to share a few things about that. Yeah, what was really cool about it was I just kind of shared a little bit of the wandering, stage 3, the wandering, in my last video. And so looking into number 4, finding love in the underworld, and reading further into that and into her explanations. And that was pretty awesome because it did go into the archetypes of the king, the magician, or the mage, the magus, the gardener, and the mother maiden crone. And that's really awesome too. Like, I was just like, oh my god, it's right here. It's all right here. And so it's just funny that I've had like a lot of different synchronicities with all of those archetypes this week. And yeah, with the king and the queen, with royalty, and like the luminous child, the fruit of their union, and the initiation in the underground forests, La Subterranea, and just all of these stories that are coming up for me, like Inanna and Ereshkigal, and Demeter and Persephone's kidnapping, her, rape in the underworld, and then her, just the different ancient stories that held different truths and meaning to help us through like this psychic awakening and recalibrating, this rewiring, these stages that we're in, of our great awakening, our cleansing and our purging and our shape-shifting. So yeah, it's pretty awesome indeed. But what I did kind of flip open to first in this book was something I flip open to a lot, actually, the last year or so, was the crescent moon bear again. And it was kind of funny the way that it happened and what I got from it this time. And so, yeah, I'll be sharing a little bit about all those things. So what I want to share first, though, is just a page from my journal that I wrote a couple of days ago, or last week maybe. And I have been talking about stepping back from all the noise, stepping back from my focus being turned outward to bringing it back home, bringing it back to me, so I can see more deeply into me, to see what I need for my well-being and what my soul's asking me. And so, that just ties into a lot of things, or it helps remove the binds, that have held me and and kept me from me, kept me from we, and didn't allow for the room and the space for me and we, for the individual, for individuality and unity, and cooperation and sovereignty. So stepping back, making space, coming home back to me, disconnecting in certain ways to reconnect with me, we wiring, rewiring, me, we wiring, recalibration, liberation, recapitulation, soul retrieval, tuning in, going inward, where now begins again and again, or always is, that's always been, revealing what has always been here, and it's all within. Insights and listening, observing, surrendering, letting go, witnessing, opening, softening, releasing, forgiving, allowing, accepting, appreciating, thanking, blessing, valuing, praising, celebrating, cultivating, regenerating. All these gifts and reflections, reciprocity, ripples, 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 radiating, spiraling, emanations from the heart and the soul of she. So there's a couple different awesome things this week, and I've been looking at the cosmic egg because I wanted a tattoo of the cosmic egg for quite a number of years, and I was looking at images for my next tattoo session, and that just got me looking, and it brought me accidentally to a few things which were pretty awesome and funny synchronicities on their own. And just, it's so fun, like playing with myself and playing with God, playing with love, playing through all these things, in and through all these things, through my being, through my ways of being. So some of the fun things that I did find, like totally on accident when I wasn't even looking for them, that's just awesome how they just come. Yeah. When we're open. And so, Anana came up in, somehow in this Google search. And it was a meme of some kind, and it was showing like all her different names and what she was also known as. And I went back to try and find that, and I couldn't find it, but it was like really cool, like to see that when I was at the tattoo shop a couple days ago. And maybe I will find it later, but it did, list a lot of her names and titles, but it was just kind of fun to see that. And also, I was looking into some chakras, and I found some like pictures randomly and illustrations of the new galactic chakras, the ones that are opening up and being activated now, and that was really cool to see, like some of those. And I went back to look for that. I couldn't find that either. It was so funny, like wow, where it just all was the other day. It was just all flowing in, and then going back to try and find it, like specifically kind of having a hard time, but we'll see what happens with that. And then there was this other little treasure that I found about ancestral healing that popped up as well, and so I wrote that one down. I had that still open in my phone and just wrote down this quote. So if you think in terms of energy, vibration, and frequency, consciousness consists of information fields. Imagine all the things that lock us into our physical body, family patterns, archetypal energies, etc. Our consciousness fields that we're plugged into. Quantum physics shows us now that when we affect energy in one place, it has a rippling effect. So when I change something dynamically within me, that ripple effect reaches back into my ancestral lineage and forwards into my descendants who are yet to arrive. It doesn't mean that I have changed my mother and father's perception, but within the family that's all plugged in, they will all be able to access those changes and therefore not have to live the same family patterns that the rest of us did. In shamanism, we call this ancestral healing, and that's a quote from Lorna Wilson. That's just something awesome that I found without even really looking for that, but it was great. And so I just wanted to review, the mirror and the clear image of God, the vine, the ivy, purple flowers and holly, yellow flowers, bumblebees, Venus, hexagon, honey, the sweetness of life, cosmic mind, hive mind, harmony and temperance, service to the whole, the world's egg, the world tree, the serpent, the dragon, the eagle, the squirrel, and the three fates, caring for the roots and repairing what has been unconsciously torn apart or injured through ignorance and forgetting, remembering that life is forgiving and not forgiving. Life is forgiving and not forgetting. Unblock the cock block and free the cock. The art of listening, surrendering, being and recentering, authenticity, trust, willingness, humility, communication, opening, softening, loosening, forgiving, caring, expressing care, letting go, and presencing. Listening for insight, listening authentically, practicing letting go, receptivity, yes to life, inclusivity, all of life, embracing the full and the great unknown, saying yes to change, growth, expansion, and I don't know. Discovery, unfolding, magic and miracles, peace within me, being at peace with oneself, observe, witness, listen, receiving, and getting out of my own way. I am safe. So, there is some things like the crow and frog and spider and bear, wolf, eagle, hawk, dove, swan, duck, goose, and owl. All those companions coming up. So the crow is about doubling, and the eyes and perception and shape-shifting our situations, transmutation and natural law. So, that's kind of fun. That has come up. Doubling and the twins and all those things have come up for me. So, that'll tie in to a few things because everything's related. So, there is room for it all. Inclusivity for all of me and we. Unity consciousness, alchemical union, linking above and below, within and without. Sharing and doing my best to show up and share love, empowering wisdom, kindness, interest, care, and fun. The cycles and laws of creation. Dolphin, crow, lizard, and swan. The handless maiden, number 4, finding love in the underworld. Do something different, try new things, new approaches, novelty, remember and review. Show up and play, open, allow, surrender, and create. Choose, letting go, be present, engaged. Trust, let it be, set love free, love is free. I surrender the need to control anything. Be curious, ask questions, question everything. The mirror and the timeless now. The art of memory. The art of living. The art of war. The art of peace. The art of listening. Metamorphing streams. Art, play, and creativity, permission to learn, grow, play, be, make mistakes, shine, and succeed. Sharing my love authentically, relaxing into love, allowing love to move me and move through me. Work through me, speak through me, live through my being, through all my ways of being love for me, we, she, and thee. And all I am, all we are, all thou art, all this love, so be. Let love be free, let all be free. There is no such thing as normalcy. There's only what we're accustomed to or used to. Our usual customs, our usual routines, our usual stories, our usual scenes, our usual senses, our usual screens, our usual means, our usual responses or traditional reactions and survival strategies, unconscious ways of operating. Customs, cutums, cutouts, and cutaways. That's kind of interesting. In certain ways. We're all looking for certainty sometimes, and that can tie us, and bind us, to only one way of seeing. So I picked up a few books and read a few amazing things. And so when I opened Women Who Run with the Wolves, I opened to the story of the Crescent Moon Bear. And she was talking about the journey up the mountain and coming home again to practice what we've learned. It's so perfect indeed. It's about the transformative fire and right action. And in this story, there was a woman who went to a healer, and the healer gave her instructions of what she needed to do to heal herself and to heal a certain situation. And so the woman went on a quest, on a healing quest, and had to go get like this very, very difficult thing, this prize that was supposed to make everything right. And it was just kind of funny because, like, really it wasn't the actual object. It was the journey, and that journey of learning that really was, the thing. It wasn't like coming back with like an actual physical thing, but sometimes we feel like if we need to see results, in certain ways, or we need to have that so-called magical thing that's going to put everything in order forever, Now, after we arrive at this point, everything will be smooth and orderly forever. And that's just silly, because that won't help us grow, and it won't help us experience novelty if it's always properly ordered and smooth and all that. So how boring would that be? I guess like if everything was all like already how we wanted it to be, what else would there be like to explore and to discover and create? So yeah. So it's about the so-called magical hair, a material something that will flash, make everything orderly forever. And it's been burned in the fire. That destroys the illusion. And now, after that illusion is destroyed, it's time for after Zen. And so in this little story, before Zen, the trees are trees and the mountains are mountains. And it's about the meaning that we give to different things. And during Zen, the mountains are the thrones of spirits, and the trees are the voices of wisdom. After Zen, the trees are trees, and the mountains are mountains again. And so it's about, the magical and the mundane, and how they are part of the same. But sometimes, us bliss bunnies, we want it always to be, magical and just good and free. But there is value in like our trials and our adversity as well. But it really too is about learning through joy as well. I mean, we can learn so much through going through pain. But let's invite that joy too, and be willing to learn through the heights and the depths of our own joy and our own soul. So chop wood and carry water. Celebrate and appreciate the present. Appreciate all things that are a valued part of the whole. Praise, bless, thank, love, and play. Listen, enjoy, and be in grace. Show up, do my thing, be myself, and be with me. And so, that was like super awesome to read in Women Who Run with the Wolves about, that little snippet of that magical material something that we kind of expect will make everything orderly forever, and take out all of the like surprises. Like we won't ever be surprised again, because that's just silliness right there. It's just funny and great. So I super appreciated that. Like, it kind of helps me to see like where I was still clinging on to control in certain ways. And so after Zen, so the energy that was bound up in rage can be used for other things. Now a woman can return, or she returns to mundane life. A woman who has come to terms with her rage. She comes back to mundane life with a new knowing, a new sense that she can move artfully through her life. She can live her life. Right action brings more creation into our lives. And so, that's pretty great. This is about action right now. And that is pretty freaking awesome, actually. So, one other thing that I flipped open to, and this is about action as well. I flipped open The Golden Key by Brandon Beachum the other day, and I flipped open to 33. So I have been getting a lot of double numbers, and it was so funny that it was happening so much yesterday. And so it was all about the 11, the 22, the 33, the 88, the 77. Yeah. And so it was really fun, like just to keep seeing those certain things. So anyways, yeah, I flipped this open. It landed on 33, and I was drawn to be it to see it. And yeah, so he's talking about different things about how sometimes, like, we've been led to believe that it's do, have, be, but actually it's be, be, do, have. So be it to see it. Statistics shockingly show that a significant proportion of all medical healings, including surgery, are the result of the placebo effect. Research has revealed that many people that never actually undergo surgery still display improvements if they believe that the surgery occurred. What this demonstrates is that belief and faith are always crucial ingredients to consider. Augustine of Hippo understood the importance of faith in the process of manifesting our desires over 2,000 years ago when he said, "Faith is to believe what you do not see. The reward for this faith is to see what you believe." I like to say, be it to see it. Neil Donald Walsh explains it simply in the Conversations with God book series, which describes how most people live by the formula of do, have, be, meaning they do something like work in order to have something like money so that they might be something like happy. The problem with that approach is that as the creator of your experiences, manifestation actually works in reverse. The correct formula is to implement is actually be, do, have. If you proactively make the decision by choosing to be happy, you will find your world increasingly reflecting your happiness in the things you find yourself doing and ultimately having. Be it to see it. Your primary job is to manage your vibration and swim in the frequency of joy as you inevitably expect the path to be shown to you as to where and what you should do next. Trust and know that the answers are already on their way. If not, it's not if, but when. And once you are shown, you will be in a state to take inspired action. When you are in alignment with your optimal path, it will always feel like it's flowing, not being forced. There will be a sense of excitement of being on the right path. However, whatever action you take, it is imperative that you always do so with a healthy sense of detachment, because rigid, unhealthy expectations are essentially premeditated resentments, and you ain't got time for that. No, we don't. We don't have time for that. So whatever action you take, it's imperative that you always do so with a healthy sense of detachment, because rigid, unhealthy expectations are essentially premeditated resentments, and you ain't got time for that. Always remember, if it doesn't come as you envisioned, it's okay. Because as Abraham Hicks says, things always work out for me, and it's always this or something better. Sometimes you are being led to what appears to be a dead end, when really that chapter of your journey just ended because you learned or got what you needed from that particular experience, and now it's time to grow in a new direction. So I thought that was awesome. And then today, I just was looking at it again, and I flipped open to page 31 where it says plant good seeds. And it says our beliefs, as well as how and where we focus our thoughts and energy, is crucial. Another popular experiment that demonstrates this involves sending thoughts and intentions to 2 different plants over a period of time. In 2018, the furniture giant IKEA conducted this experiment very publicly for the Bully a Plant experiment in support of Anti-Bullying Day, which involves students at a school in the United Arab Emirates. During the experiment, 2 essentially identical plants were kept under separate controlled enclosures and received the same amount of nutrition, water, and light over a 30-day time period. The students at the school were then encouraged to send words of praise to one plant and send insults to the other via recordings they made that were then transmitted to speakers rigged inside each separate enclosure. After the 30 days was up, the difference between the 2 plants was dramatic. The plant that received good vibes and compliments was thriving and looked extremely healthy, while its insult-riddled counterpart was very droopy and had wilted, discolored leaves. If focusing our powerful thoughts and intentions on a simple plant can have such extreme effects, imagine the effect of focusing our thoughts and intentions on ourselves or on our fellow humans. Most of us have heard about the law of attraction. It essentially states that what we give energy to whether in thought or deed we attract into our reality. This concept has been somewhat controversial. Some swear by it and others think it's just pseudoscience. But if it is indeed a real phenomenon, it doesn't really matter, because just like any other law, such as the law of gravity, you don't really need to know how it works to be affected by it. If you walk off a cliff, for example, you're going to feel the repercussions of the law of gravity, regardless of whether or not you understand gravity, or even if you aren't aware that such a thing as gravity exists. I believe the law of attraction, or however you refer to this phenomenon, is a fundamental rule of the game of life. And understanding this fundamental rule is a crucial step toward unlocking abundance, because like understanding gravity, understanding the law of attraction helps us avoid unnecessary pitfalls. The issue is many people just simply don't understand how it truly works. There is a misconception that belief is the only factor involved. But yeah, there are many factors at play when it comes to what we are attracting into our reality, and our beliefs are just one of those factors. So other factors include your past experiences and state of consciousness, the energetic offerings of society, and the collective consciousness, as well as your karma and dharma. Karma and dharma are ancient Vedic terms that refer to past deeds in this and past lifetimes, and your soul's grandest expression of service in this lifetime, respectively. So as you can see, there are a lot of factors at play when we are cooking up what we wish to experience. A lot of people think the law of attraction means if they sit back and imagine a delicious bisque long enough, it will just magically appear in their bowl. Anything is possible, but in addition to what was just mentioned, most of the time we will also need to take some sort of action to attract what we desire. To keep with the soup analogy, think of the manifestation as a recipe with many ingredients needed to achieve the desired result. Every time you make a manifestation soup, it will be unique because the ingredients themselves, as well as the amounts used, will always be slightly different. And even then, there are other energetic forces aside from your most immediate efforts that may lead to your soup having an unexpected flavor. So I wouldn't count on a nice bisque appearing if you're just sitting around trying to wish it up, especially since you've left out the key word, action. And so that's where be it to see it came in after that. So I thought that was freaking great and awesome. And I also, I went and looked into The Handless Maiden again. I had a nudge to pick up Dancing the Dream by Jamie Sams. She's also the author, one of the authors of Medicine Cards. And I love Medicine Cards. I love that one. And I also read about another deck that she's created, and it's called the Sacred Path Cards. And so I asked for that, and that is on its way, and that's coming this week. But the cool thing, that I opened to again, and I feel like it wasn't that long ago that I flipped open to this, and it was just time to review again. And so, it was awesome flipping open to page 112, and that is about the third path. And there's just like this little picture in here that talks about the past, the present, and the future. And it's a little infinity sign. This little infinity sign here, if you can see that. And so here you go, like one is representing like the future and one is the past. And right now, this here, that's the present, that's 0 point right there. And so what she says about, the gift, the present moment. The past is what has been lived. The future is what will be, or what will live. And the gift is the present moment. And it was just kind of funny how, that came up in a video a day or two ago when I was talking about the power of tears and how, that expression, that authentic expression is protective. So themes of protection and all of that, and expression and action, taking action. So if we add regret, lived becomes devil. So again, it's just like reversing it. So lived, like what has been lived, if we keep going back to the past, that's a reversal, and it becomes devil. And we add fear of the future, or fear of the unknown, of what will live, and that's evil. And so that is interesting. So the infinity symbol, this symbol is ancient in origin and has been used by indigenous people for centuries to show how the two worlds of seen and the unseen, matter and energy, are linked as two circles that have no beginning and no end. Fear is the enemy of being present. And for years, I worked with images and made some other discoveries of my own. Since the present is the gift that humans are given by the great mystery, I began to see that in the English language there were also some anagrams that further explained the phenomenon of slipping into shadow thinking or negative feelings. If we regret things we have done in the past or how we have lived, we invest our energy in going backward in time. The word lived, spelled backward, is devil. We create our own internal devils and the demons of regret or self-blame when we get stuck in the past events that haunt us with thoughts of how we could have done it differently. The letters from lived and live also make up two more applicable words, veiled and veil. These anagrams show us that the past is veiled when we get stuck in regret, and we veil the future when we allow our fears to alter the present. If we do not catch fearful thoughts when they appear, they collect, and we can slip into fearing the future or the unknown. By investing our energy into the fear of how we will live in the future, we often procrastinate and leak creative energy that we could have used to accomplish what we need for today. By falling into the shadow trap, we create our own evil or gloomy outlooks of what the future will hold because we have worried about a future that is not yet formed, influencing what will come through our negativity and fear in the present moment. In so doing, we put the future before the now and go backward again. The word live, spelled backward, is evil. Every time we fear the future, we are giving our authority, our will, and our life force to the shadow, allowing that energy to be used in a backward manner, creating our own fears by giving them the use of our life force. The spark of life that shines inside of us is diminished because we are leaking life force into the past or into the future. So, Coyote tricks us into healing. In the tradition of the Southern Seers, any act of personal sabotage is directed by the shadow and is coyote trickster medicine of the highest order. Most of us are not aware that we are engaging in this form of conflict because we believe we are intending one thing, but in actuality we are investing life force in opposing ideas and feelings simultaneously. Nightmares usually appear when uncertainty created by self-sabotage mirrors the duality we have consciously or unwittingly embraced. Polar opposites in talk and action also mirror our acts of self-sabotage. When we are saying one thing, thinking and feeling another, and acting in a totally different manner, the art of self-sabotage can give an internal voice to every fearful or wounded fragment of our personality. The task of mending these opposing pieces of self begins on the third path. Coyote is the totem that can present us with backdoor lessons we do not expect in order to make us realize exactly how we are thwarting ourselves. Doubt and indecision hound every person who is actively hoping for positive results and secretly fearing failure, making mental lists of how and why something is too much to hope for. Deadly seriousness can overcome any person who is desperately focused on a desired outcome or has been trapped in the high drama of his or her personal life. Coyote medicine will appear in some form in order to break the seriousness, reflecting the ridiculous nature of our human folly. Coyote laughs when we become as serious as a heart attack, reminding us that seriousness is twice as deadly as any heart attack because we lose heart altogether. Having heart and using heart energy makes belly laughter possible, and that lightness of being that supports all types of healing. So, yeah. Having heart and using heart energy makes belly laughter possible, and that lightness of being that supports all types of healing. If we remain stuck in our seriousness, we will develop diseases that will kill the body in order to release the spirit from the prison created by our own refusal to embrace joy. On the third path, it is paramount to learn to laugh at ourselves and our self-importance, arrogance, high drama, or false sense of indispensability. Those who are learning the lessons of personal authority or spiritual purpose on this path often stray into the false impression that they are the only chosen ones, or that they have been designated to change the world because of their special abilities. The lessons connected with this phase of development show whether our humility is in place and whether we can wear our power lightly. All too often, the know-it-all syndrome comes into play, and the pseudo-intellectual talks from a position of authority, but cannot live the philosophy he or she expounds upon. So all too often the know-it-all syndrome comes into play, and the pseudo-intellectual talks from a position of authority but cannot live the philosophy he or she expounds upon. Coyote is the great equalizer, tripping us up in many different ways in order to reveal exactly where we are sabotaging ourselves. Yeah. And so that's just really just a little part of it. I read 112 through 122 and 123. And that was super amazing for me to look into and read again and review. And it was about judgments that we make as well, and different inherited patterns that we're not even aware of in certain ways. So why do I feel like a raw nerve ending? At certain times on all these paths of initiation, acute sensitivity to noise, violence, smells, electronic devices, light, and other elements in our personal environments can make us feel sick or like we are going crazy. This ultrasensitivity usually begins on the third path as we are reclaiming parts of ourselves that had to shut down if we were to survive. When those fragments are reclaimed, we may find that our sensitivity and our sensory perceptions are so acute as to become physically painful. This is normal. The restructuring of our perceptions of life is a part of the healing process. If we fear the changes occurring in our sensitivity levels, we might develop environmental illnesses at this stage of development. The sensitivities will balance out if we do not label them or feed them with our fear that something is wrong with us. The more we hold on to rigid judgments regarding physical symptoms we experience, the harder it becomes for those conditions to balance out in a natural way. Judging others also sets us up for one enlightenment trap after another. Judging others also sets us up for one enlightenment trap after another. Some people use their sensitivities like a merit badge to show how spiritually developed they have become. Others judge those who eat certain foods, drink liquor or smoke tobacco, proud of how pure they have made their lives by conquering their own addictions. We can develop an entire system of mental judgment by projecting onto another what we believe is right for us. These thoughts affect our own immune systems as surely as physically abusing our bodies can impair our health. In some cases, we might develop allergies because of our judgments. If we look at cultures outside America, we find that they are not disgusted with the natural smells of the human body. We have been programmed by our soap, perfume, and deodorant commercials to judge the human body's smells as undesirable. On the third path, we are asked to review any sensitivities stemming from judgments we may have adopted from group thinking, the media, or advertising campaigns, such as which body types are desirable and undesirable, which cars and clothing spells success, and who is to be coddled and courted because he or she is important or famous. These sources of input can control our inner knowing through powerful visual images, subliminal messages, and the conscious or unconscious consumption of the illusion-filled belief systems being presented to the public. The third path teaches us how to maintain our individuality and our personal integrity in the face of modern technology and the world's seductions. The challenge is to respect who we are and what we feel is authentic personal truth, and to maintain our sacred points of view. The balancing act between what we are asked to accept from the stimulus we receive and what we derive from our inner knowing can present many challenges to our sense of integrity. We dive deeper into the introspection process and observe how certain beliefs within mass consciousness can be controlling our free will or can be altering our sacred point of view. We are given the opportunity to see what we want to keep and what we choose to give away. Honoring our personal truths and intuition. The third path yields a harvest of blessings that allow every person to use inner knowing and personal power. How we use authentic self-esteem and our personal authority in life constitutes another layer of lessons that can test us on everything we have learned. As we weed out the various catchphrases and group beliefs found on our paths, we find our own truths and we begin to experience heightened senses of intuition, which allow us to trust ourselves and to respect our individual sense of what is right for us personally. We do not accept blanket truths without exploring personally whether these statements have validity. These skills of observation, feeling, hearing, and sensing things from the viewpoint of personal authority open new doors of awareness. These intuitive skills can be used in the healing arts, in business, in counseling, in the arts, in parenting, or in any other field of endeavor. To strictly appoint the development of intuition to solely one area would be foolish. How a person uses his or her increased capacity to understand life and self is a matter of personal choice, but I would like to share some examples of various ways that the healing process can assist us all in all areas of our lives. When we learn to trust the intuitive part of our nature, we become more able to understand that we are constantly inspired to take certain paths in our lives. Inspiration is a form of taking spirit into the self. You may ask what spirit is. In our Native American traditions, we see spirit as the life force energy that is the connective tissue between any living thing and the great mystery, the Creator, God. Every time we breathe, we re-spirit the body through respiration. Every time we clear the mind and allow ourselves to be still, we can become inspired because we allow spirit or universal life force into our sacred spaces. As we continue to heal our lives, we become more aware of the occurrences of intuitive flashes urging us to explore all aspects of human potential. Honoring our intuition is the key to living in synchronicity with all life and the great mystery. How much attention we give to intuition, seeing it as a creative force, determines the ease with which we find the universal flow of life. When we allow that flow to become a harmonious part of our personal rhythm, we instinctually know things. We all have heard stories of people who were warned intuitively against boarding an airplane that later crashed. There have been countless stories about how paying attention to intuition changed the course of someone's life forever. Without being too dramatic about the importance of intuition, I will simply say that those messages are available to anyone who has cleared the chaotic chatter from the mind. Intuition is divine guidance that comes into play when we listen or feel. That guidance becomes a natural part of our lives as we continue to develop the skills connected to the intuitive part of human nature. Our certainty and self-trust flourish, and our view of life dramatically changes as we allow our senses to be honed to new levels. The blessings gained through intuition allow us to grow by leaps and bounds. We learn how archetypes within our world can assist us in sorting out who we are, where we belong, and how we can use our gifts, talents, and abilities. I developed 3 divination systems to teach people on the healing path how to use their gifts of intuition. Medicine cards, written with David Carson, uses the archetypes or of the totems or power animals to reflect to the reader how he or she can learn about the personal medicine or inner strength available to him or her, and how to use those gifts in a balanced way. The medicine cards, just for today, is a mini deck of the animals, giving short daily reminders of ways to focus our intention and use our intuition. The Sacred Path cards uses Native American symbols as the archetypes that represent the life lessons and challenges that we all encounter on the 7 paths of initiation. These tools allow people to explore their personal gifts of intuition, giving a blueprint of how to learn to trust the human transformation process a step at a time. So needing to compete with another who has similar knowledge is one of the seductive enlightenment traps that can appear on the 3rd path. Far too often we are drawn into the arena of competition because we want to prove to ourselves that what we have learned is superior to what someone else knows. This form of competition occurs when we feel threatened, and it can bring old patterns of jealousy into play. When we feel that we have accomplished a lot and are beginning to use our newfound gifts of authority, we may fall prey to the shadow's need to be acknowledged. If we criticize others for the manner in which they present their knowledge, we have succumbed to our own lack of certainty. In this instance, we may not approve of another person's behavior, but it is not our place to demean anyone else. If we have truly healed, we can remain respectful of that person's sacred point of view, even if it rankles or counters what we believe is appropriate. The armor used by the spiritual warrior. The 3rd path also offers lessons in armadillo medicine, or boundaries, which shows us how we feel when our boundaries are not honored, as well as why we should honor the boundaries of others. If a person does not feel comfortable being asked to discuss personal information, that boundary should be honored without any comment that could make that person feel ill at ease. If we are actively embracing our own healing process, there are times when we may feel vulnerable or ultra-sensitive. It is totally inappropriate to force anyone who is feeling that raw to interact with others in loud or boisterous activities. On the 3rd path, We are asked to develop our intuitiveness and sensitivity to the degree that we can respectfully observe the boundaries of others in this manner. These boundary lessons are a part of honoring the sacred spaces of others and respecting our own physical and emotional boundaries as well. As we learn more about what is appropriate for us individually, we gain more of ourselves through the healing process. We are then asked to extend the same compassion and understanding toward others. I observed one woman years ago who was very sensitive when she was experiencing personal trauma or hurt, but who acted loud, rude, and inappropriate when someone else in her circle of friends was vulnerable or hurting. She was swept away with the high drama of a situation and gossiped about the person who was already traumatized. She never realized how hurtful her lack of boundaries was to those of her friends, who eventually heard the intimate details that she had dished out without thinking. When she was confronted with being the source of these hurtful rumors, she would only say that she heard it from others and she refused to be accountable for having passed the information on. This woman would scream and yell and slam down the phone when confronted with her behavior, laying blame outside of herself. This behavior pattern is far more common than we would like to think, and it's an example of another way we are held accountable for our thoughts, words, and use of authority. If we gossip, we are misusing our authority and we are raping another person's boundaries. When the tables are turned and we are the recipients, we receive the full impact of how that behavior feels. From time to time, all of us are drawn into commenting on something that may not be any of our business. The lessons can be very painful if something we said is twisted by another or is repeated in a rumor that hurts other people. Learning who to trust with confidences can take time and some hard knocks. Learning how to be careful with statements of our personal opinions requires that we be fully present when we are speaking to anyone. The fact that today's media will misrepresent facts and misquote people's statements in order to get a sensational story is a sad situation and shows that integrity is at risk in all segments of humanity. We are not asked to point fingers, but rather to look at our own behaviors and to correct the patterns that we do not like. We are not asked to point fingers, but rather to look at our own behaviors and to correct the patterns that we do not like. During the third path, we often meet up with other lessons regarding boundaries. Crow medicine is a Native American concept that teaches us about divine law. Crow shows us that if we focus on the positive, we are given more positive experiences. If we focus on the negative, the shadow side of human nature will be fed by our negativity and will come alive, feeding our experiences with further negativity. These lessons can apply to internal mental criticism or to external verbal rebukes that demean ourselves or others. There is a big difference between acknowledging what is imbalanced or inappropriate and then working to change that behavior, and beating ourselves up with self-revilement or self-hatred. It is just as inappropriate to allow our shadow nature to strip us of our dignity or shame us into hopelessness as to allow it to convince us that we are superior. So it is just as inappropriate to allow our shadow nature to strip us of our dignity or shame us into hopelessness as to allow it to convince us that we are superior. In all situations, we feed our life force to the positive or to the shadow and give our authority to one or the other, harvesting exactly what we have fertilized with our life force. The set of lessons that Crow brings into our lives may ask us to find positive things to think or feel about all people and all situations. The set of lessons that Crow brings into our lives may ask us to find positive things to think or feel about all people in all situations. We do not have to judge any person's shortcomings, but instead we can learn to see any situation or person as a magnificent teacher. Any person who is misbehaving can be showing us what we do not wish to become or how not to do something. Through thanking the person for the lesson, we can learn to honor the fact that every human being is a messenger or teacher for us. We are also asked to use discernment or owl medicine, and we are given the choice to forgive and to let go of past pain. It is our choice whether or not to allow the offenders who have been forgiven access to our sacred spaces at any time in the future. I would like to say, however, that it is not necessary to let a coyote back into your henhouse to attain spiritual enlightenment. So we don't have to go through that. We can sidestep those pitfalls if we're aware. So, the value of observing the obvious. On the third path, we learned that the value of looking for something to admire in ourselves or in another person strengthens our boundaries in the dream weave and deters negativity from entering our thoughts or feelings. This prevents those negative threads from entering our physical lives by being spoken as words. My teachers called these kinds of boundaries spiritual or dream weave boundaries. By protecting the parts of our sacred spaces that are seemingly unseen, but that contain thought-filling energy and dreams, we are using a spiritual form of preventative medicine. We are required to use vigilance in monitoring all that we allow inside our sacred spaces. We are asked to feel every emotion that influences our human experience and to move those feelings through us and release them as neutral energy. In this manner, we are beginning a fourth path lesson, which allows us to experience all of life with ease. Gratitude and communion with the Creator continue to be integral parts of the third path as we allow Spirit to assist us in purifying our thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and attitudes. We are asked to return thanks for every blessing in life and to honor the steps of our personal healing and the healing taking place in the lives of others. We learn to pray for the well-being of all human beings no matter how they are living their lives. We send love to those who have hurt us, and we draw our strength from that same love. We gather together with others who will pray with us, and we share our healing experiences. We ask for guidance and the strength necessary to stand tall in a loving manner, even in the face of our greatest fears. We learn to become the one who watches, observing all that comes into our experiences from the viewpoint of an unbiased witness. By observing inappropriate behavior without entering an arena of conflict, we are able to sidestep these negative encounters. When we look at any situation and are grateful for the teaching being presented, we have prevented ourselves from being labeled or targeted as the enemy. If we engage in conflict by pointing out the bad behavior of another person, we have chosen to enter a metaphorical boxing arena, which can set us up for attacks of all kinds. On the other hand, we can do what a friend of mine suggested. She told me that simply and silently she thanks the person by saying, "Thank you for letting me know you better." So laughter shields us against harmful intent. In today's world, the most powerful form of spiritual attack is envy and jealousy. Some people believe that black magic, bad spells, curses, sorcery, and witching are the most harmful spiritual attacks on others, but all those rituals are propelled by jealousy or envy, the need for revenge or retaliation. I have felt and seen how ugly, unstaunched, hate-filled emotions can harm the energy fields of others. This battering in the unseen worlds of the dream weave can weaken a person's spiritual boundaries and eventually make that person ill or accident prone, particularly if the person targeted is also leaking his or her energy on fear, hate, bitterness, or envy. The revenge-oriented rituals that the inept dabbler practices are a misuse of Raven's medicine of magic. Dabblers who use spells and curses directing harm toward other human beings will have their bad intentions boomerang, creating more harm in their lives. No harmful intent can flourish in the face of laughter. Laughter is the lubricant that keeps negativity from sticking. Life's lubrication. So we break the stranglehold of any malicious intent when we do not fear it, but rather engage in laughter, joy, and love. The more skillful we become disengaging from negativity, the stronger we become spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically. Fear of the shadow will allow negative energy to gain the upper hand in our daily life as well as in the energetic realms where our nightmares reflect our subconscious fears or the negative feelings that we are entertaining. If we can embrace the fact that all life contains shadow and light, the fear of what we think evil can do to us dwindles until it no longer affects us through our own judgments. At various points on the third path, we are given opportunities to see how far we have come in developing a personal sense of well-being and in using our personal authority effectively in the world. This discovery occurs each time we are tested on how we will use the authority we have gained, the expertise we employ, and the influence we have available. We get a real close-up look at our own weaknesses in the process, as if Coyote placed all our personal garbage and ragtag issues under an electron microscope. I know firsthand what a humbling experience that can be. Looking at our own shit magnified at close range changes our mind's perspective of self-importance forever. Coyote laughingly told me that this equalizing event was the first psychedelic experience every person's ego went through during the initiations of the ancient mystery schools. If we make choices that include lording our skills over others or trying to exercise control over situations and people, we will immediately encounter this type of pop quiz. If we feel that we are strong in one area and we misuse those abilities, the results can affect other areas of our lives where we are not so strong. For example, if we finally have been promoted into a management position but we have not matured emotionally, we may make unreasonable demands on others to test out our own power. This unfortunate choice of action can start a chain of events that becomes more than humbling when we are called on the carpet by the boss. Or we may not know how to drop that same petty tyrant behavior when we leave work, alienating family members or friends. The pop quiz can occur when no one wants to share our company any longer. Learning how to handle the authority we have earned or the success we have attained is a third path lesson. Handling fame or acclaim of some sort includes learning how we can be seduced into becoming a petty tyrant, an arrogant snob, or a know-it-all. All of these ego-oriented behaviors are third path enlightenment traps. They seduce us into believing that we must adopt behaviors that we assume to be those of a person in a position of authority, public acclaim, or wealth. Nothing could be further from the truth. The authentic, healed human being who has embraced his or her personal authority and wears his or her power lightly demonstrates humility and compassion in a respectful manner. When we release our need to be recognized, the gears of our belief systems are stripped and authentic being replaces mental attitudes. So I'll stop it there. I read just a little bit more, further into that. So, that was pages 112 through 125 from Dancing the Dream, The 7 Sacred Paths of Human Transformation by Jamie Sands. So, there is a lot of good gold in there, good stuff in there for me. And, I think that was yesterday that I read through that. And, it just does. It's just awesome, really, how it just goes along with so many different things and streams and the themes I'm working with and through. And, so I'll just share just a little bit more about, some random things that I've written in the last 2 days. I guess that was 2 days ago, so that was October 2nd. And, some synchronicities and just a lot of different fun stuff coming up. So authentically, authenticity, authorship, authority, authentic, author, and then there's Arthur. King Arthur keeps coming up. And Thor, Grail codes and powerful, peaceful warriors. Autonomy, sovereignty, accountability, maturity, responsibility, respect, partnership, trust, courage, commitment, devotion, humility, faith, reciprocity. Be present, aware, centered, peaceful, calm, honest, fair, just, balanced, in harmony, in alignment with myself, my soul, my heart, my mind, my body, my bodies, my integrity. Relax into love and be free. Let it be the infinity, 0 point, energy present to receive. The love that is always present within, all around and surrounding me, supporting me always through all things and all ways. The eagle and the condor, the heart and the mind aligned. Look into desires and define some clear goals and intentions. New seeds planted and right actions. Playful, joyful, love and care expressed for me and we. Life, continuity, novelty, integrity. So the disempowering programming and the 4 false beliefs that Bruce Lipton speaks of, one of them being divided competition. So looking into that divided competition and some of that ego comparison stuff. Look into that, also the remedy to that. And I would like to remember and know more about my parts in this play, my new roles, my new leadership identity, about what I'm doing and what I'm working toward, and how to best put my skills, talents, gifts, strengths, loves, passions, potential contributions towards and or forwards to help others and enrich and share. The knowledge, understanding, wisdom, truth, arts of living, being, healing, creating, regenerating, navigating, cultivating, participating, playing, communicating, and honoring, valuing, appreciating, growing, building, and integrating. All parts of the whole. October 3rd, 2021, we're in that new moon Libra portal, that window, of awesome change. And so it is like a great time to plant those new seeds, Plant those good seeds of intention. Feeling lighter, brighter, kinder all around, letting go of resistance and fears, doubts, worries, and insecurities, shedding old skin and removing old garments that I've outgrown, takes off worn out clothes and puts on new ones. Rainbow body of light, Christic light of the divine mind, holy grail and overflowing cup, fertility, fidelity, loyalty to all I love, forgiveness and redemption. Now it is time. The pearl of wisdom, the precious realization that we are precious jewels of light with priceless value and eternal currency. The chakra systems and new galactic chakras coming online, crystalline structures, parallel structures aligning with absolute and eternal truth. New frequencies, fire codes, water blessings, love is true. Water, earth, air, fire, ether, orgone, pyramids, spiral, circle, arc, rainbow bridge. Salt and boundaries, sacred space, protection and strength, natural law, universal law, divine law, codes and keys, activations, trust and equality, cleansing and purification. The egg, the world egg, the cosmic egg, our stories and the story playing out. The king, the sleeping king, the return of the king, the mountain, the river, the oak tree, the tree of life, the journey to the underworld, the orchard, the forest, the magus, wizard, storyteller, sage, the garden and the gardener, the steward, the caregiver, the caretaker, the queen, and the luminous child, the Trinity. October 4th. Equilibrium, equality, harmony, balance, centering, liberty, maturity, power, freedom, sovereignty, accountability, loyalty, devotion, reciprocity. Making the space for changes, death, life, rebirth, life, death, rebirth. Trust, inner knowing, strength, faith, grace, and compassion, mercy, empathy, forgiveness, receptivity, gentleness, loving kindness, truth frequencies. The severing, the dismemberment, the bargain without knowing, initiation in the underground forest, the wandering, the blackening, negrito, the dissolving, breaking up and breaking through. The eye of the needle, moving forward, moving through, going inward, looking within. The sleeping king awakens and returns to his people, his queen, his child, and his home. The veil of sleep is lifted and he is born anew, finding love in the underworld and the harrowing of the soul. And so there was a dream that I was having last night, and I just remembered, just the most little details of it. And it was interesting because my hair was braided in all these different braids, but the braids were just hanging on by certain threads where a lot of the threads had been cut, and they were just hanging there and in suspension, kind of. It was weird. And so I'm wandering around doing various tasks. I'm going in various directions and seeing various people pass by. My braids are hanging on by certain threads of hair, some connected and attached, and some disconnected and detached. Will all my braids fall out, or are they being reattached until my hair grows back on its own? Am I worried about losing my hair, or my vitality, or my current identity, my fertility, or my idealized image of me? I'm not sure. So I kind of see a couple of different people, and I feel like a fool or a dummy, maybe old regrets or foolishness, trying to be cool. Shame, blame, and humiliation, guilt, worry, and resentment. Just practice nonchalance and embrace the foolish youth. Allow the not knowing and all ignorance and truth. Allow all the full spectrum of infinite expression, the polarities of true lies and eternal truth. Emerging from the cave of dreams, the sacred mountain, the place of the sunrise, 0 point. Mercury, Thoth, Hermes, trickster, wise one, fool, musician, messenger, intermediary, shaman, guide, and mediator, the middle way, the way shower, the lighthouse, and the star. Emanation, behold the jewel in the lotus, O diamond soul, shine forth, bright one, of the fertile dark, the waters of the womb. Brigid lady of light, ever excellent one, wonderful warrior woman, magnificent mother of life, love, beauty, wisdom, truth, healing, devotion, and justice. Mot, Isis, Hathor, Durga, Sekhmet. I call in, I call on, I call to you. I am called. We are, I am, love's truth. Om Namo Narayanaya. I bow before love's truth. Christos Sophia. I humbly serve and let go, allowing God's light to shine in, forth, and through. So we all have wings. Stretch open and unfurl your wings. They are glorious. We are, I am, thou art. all God's love, great love, good love, all this love we are. I've been watching and listening, observing and witnessing, looking at some videos today, and seeing some sink-wink themes around trust, betrayal, truth and lies, wrong and right, left and right, before and behind, past, present, future, redemption, resurrection, dark to light, so shine. The big lie, how to enslave the mind, how to enslave the world. And this was something I watched earlier today on Academy of Ideas, and I will put that in the description box. And I just wrote down a bunch of just different quotes because I super appreciate those things, and I really love looking at, the wisdom and the offerings that these great minds like Aleksander Solzhenitsyn offered to humanity, going through like their own hells and doing what they could to act, to take right action. And so the big lie, how to enslave the world. And the lie has, in fact, led us so far away from a normal society that you cannot even orient yourself any longer in its dense gray fog. Not even one pillar can be seen. Aleksander Solzhenitsyn. And what he said was, in our country, the lie has become not just a moral category, but a pillar of the state. So that's interesting. Life in the system is so thoroughly permeated with hypocrisy and lies because the regime is captive to its own lies. It must falsify everything. It falsifies the past, it falsifies the present, and it falsifies the future. It falsifies statistics, and that's Vaclav. I don't know how to say his name. Vaclav Havel. Live Not Lies by Aleksander Solzhenitsyn. We are approaching the brink. Already a universal spiritual demise is upon us. A physical one is about to flare up and engulf us and our children, while we continue to smile sheepishly and babble. But what can we do to stop it? We haven't the strength. We can do everything. But we can do everything, even if we comfort and lie to ourselves that this is not so. It is not they who are guilty of everything, but we ourselves, only we. The best resistance to totalitarianism is simply to drive it out of our own souls, our own circumstances, our own land, to drive it out of contemporary humankind. Vaclav Havel. There is obviously something in human beings which responds to this totalitarian system. Human beings are compelled to live within a lie, but they can be compelled to do so only because they are in fact capable of living in this way. Therefore, not only does the system alienate humanity, but at the same time, alienated humanity supports the system as its own involuntary master plan, as a degenerate image of its own degeneration, as a record of people's own failure as individuals. Vaclav Havel. And therein we find, neglected by us, the simplest, the most accessible key to our liberation, a personal non-participation in lies. Even if all is covered by lies, even if all is under their rule, let us resist in the smallest way. Let their rule hold not through me. Aleksander Solzhenitsyn. If the main pillar of the totalitarian system is living a lie, then it is not surprising that the fundamental threat to it is living the truth. This is why the truth must be suppressed more severely than anything else. Vaclav Havel. And what Hannah Arendt said, spontaneity with its incalculable spontaneity with its incalculability is the greatest of all obstacles to total domination over man. Incalculability. Yep, I'll be able to say that one day. People came to realize that not standing up for the freedom of others meant surrendering one's own freedom. Vaclav Havel. Truth is the primary enemy of totalitarianism. One man who stopped lying could bring down a tyranny. Aleksander Solzhenitsyn. So here's to truth, and to trust, and to joy, and to faith, and to love, and to life. And I'm just going to close with something I wrote a couple weeks ago. I was just kind of reviewing my journal from last month or last cycle. And the themes that are coming up around that: truth, lies, trust, and betrayal. And that's super important right now, to be able to trust ourselves. And who can we trust? Can we trust what we love? Can we trust the joy in our hearts? Can we trust? who we are right now, you know. So trust is so super important, trusting ourselves and each other. I choose to trust myself. I choose to open myself to that trust. I trust life. I choose to trust life. I choose to trust myself. And I trust the inner wisdom. I trust her clear vision's precision. A prayer to see through her gentle eyes. A prayer for us all to be free and forgive ourselves and our history. An opportunity to repair and be true, to trust ourselves, to forgive. And to see Eris at play. The golden apple, the prized possession, idealism, pride, vanity, greed, the rose-colored glasses, and what we didn't want to see. She laughs because those who fight to the death over the baited prize are so vain and ignorant they don't realize that they have the whole apple tree priceless inside, the bargain without knowing. Not knowing our own value and being distracted, deceived, led astray, led away from our true worth and value, our true nature, the infinite currents within. Come back home to self, come within, focus inward, self-reflection, self-realization. Through the lens of love in her gentle eyes, she is unafraid of any dark. And nothing can keep her from loving us, not even the worst we could possibly hide. She won't condemn and deny, or reject, judge, or cast aside. She knows the value of the whole, and all the infinite, imperfectly perfect strengths and limitations, weaknesses, blind spots, potentials, and natural gifts. All of it is necessary to be whole, for love to give, to grow, to change, to play and interchange, to transform, recirculate, recalibrate, propagate, and recreate, regenerate, validate, emanate. Or we can choose to stagnate, dim, dwindle, depreciate, and degenerate. So the adversary can help us challenge our own bullshit, face, grieve, surrender, acknowledge what is falling away, or what we're denying or rejecting in ourselves, undermining, undervaluing, underselling, overlooking, possessing, or hoarding away. Protecting or defending, attached to or identifying with, playing into, carried away by, playing at, play acting at, or playing at being. We all have our own unexplored power and our wisdom, our unclaimed shadow aspects, the seen and the unseen, the known and the unknown parts of ourselves. So, yeah, letting it go and letting it be, setting me free, willing to allow this learning, healing, growth, and purifying opportunity, this challenge and this gift of the adversary and the integral shapeshifter in me. The darkness being made conscious through the light of love and the gift of trust. Love is so enough. We are all enough. I am so enough. We are so enough always. Feeling into it and practicing non-attachment, trusting in the path, trusting in the mission, trusting in the changes and the transition, trusting love, trusting myself, trusting my inner vision, wisdom, precision, intuition, intentions, lessons, choices, and choosing to allow the whole and trust love will be served. Trust in this process of rewiring, recapitulation, and recalibration, ascension, cooperation, and integration, integrity, coherence, appreciation, focus, discipline, devotion, authentic emanation, self-mastery and individuation, God self-realization, unself-consciousness, luminous revelations, and ripples of love and unification. I love us all enough to let us all go. I love us all so much that I surrender and let go. I trust in this love, and I trust it to unfold in the most beautiful, magical, mysterious ways. A gift for us all through love all our ways. And thank you for listening. Thanks for being here. And next time I'll go into number 4 about finding love in the underworld and the harrowing of the soul, and going into like those archetypes, the king, the magician, the gardener. That'll be so fun. And the maiden, the mother, and the crone. All right. Hope you're all being love for yourselves, no matter like where you are right now, no matter how you are, no matter what's going on. I hope you're, being gentle with yourself and loving yourself through this and everything. All right. We'll talk to you later. Be well for now.